our comments as an individual, not speaking on behalf of the board. So if you have individual comments, feel free.
Mr. Sanders?
Sir.
Because I have a prior business commitment, I'm going to excuse myself and get up and leave. But that's not the only reason. I believe very strongly that each one of us are accountable for our actions. I've always held myself strongly accountable for my actions. And I have to get up and go home and decide if I can continue to serve this board based on what just happened. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Sanders?
Go ahead, Ms. Prather.
I would just like to take just a few moments. I do believe Ms. Tobi's words are heartfelt and genuine. However, I'm incredibly disappointed that she did not make a different decision. If I were in her shoes, and I'm not, I would have chosen to resign, because the last thing any of us want is the continued hurt or a reminder of the presence for hurt for anyone in our community. Again, I believe her sincerity, I believe they're remorseful, and I do believe there can be change that's brought about going forward. We must do better. We must all do better. We must stand for all. We must make people aware that our schools are safe for all, that everyone has a voice and that they are heard. That we have to each make a commitment going forward to bring about change and that acceptance for all.
Thank you, Ms. Prather.
Mr. President.
Sir.
I'm deeply sympathetic to Ms. Tobi and her situation, which what happened. And I did reach out to her to let her know that I do care about her as an individual. We do not see eye to eye on certain things. And this is one that we don't agree on. I do feel that we are all accountable and held to a higher standard, and that we should hold each other accountable on that. Me personally, if this had been in my situation, I would have stepped down. I respect her decision, and I would agree, and I'm happy to work with her moving forward. And I hope that we can move forward, and we do have change. Moving forward, I do know, based on our discussions that we've had in closed session, that we do have some things that we can move forward with that will promote change, and I do look forward to doing that. And I wish her the best of success.
Thank you, Mr. Vineyard.
Mr. Sanders.
Ma'am.
With a lot of reflection and listening to our community, what I heard somebody say was the past can't be changed, but the future can be better. That we need to be better by not having reactive leadership, that everyone's valuable and everyone should be heard. This is a terrible moment in our community, and they are sad and disgusted, that it requires growth, reflection, and action, that it's unfortunate, it's been disturbing, there's been racial ignorance, it's no excuse, that there's personal choice, that people are hurting. And even one woman said that only God knows the heart of man. And I think we've all prayed over our community. We all serve our community. But I think you outline the individual choices that are here. And not only are these community comments important, I think each of us have had dozens of people come to visit us, call us, text us, email us. This is about Midlothian ISD, but it's bigger. It's about our community, and to not recognize the hurt and the healing that's needed. would be an understatement.
Thank you, Ms. Walton.
We find ourselves in a very difficult position. And leaders lead in times of trouble. In difficult moments, we lead. We lead by example. Have we all made decisions that we don't, that as we reflect back on them, we would have done differently? Absolutely, myself included. And as I think about this district and moving forward, we each individually have to ask ourselves, can we lead all people? Can we be trusted? All the students and parents don't know my heart. I don't know them all. I don't. But what they know is what they see of me. And I think it's important that we each be held accountable for our actions. And I strongly believe that for all students.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. I'm sorry, community. I'm sorry to everybody in our community. Nobody wants to be in this situation. Not the situation of somebody making a mistake, but the situation of insensitivity. I read through all the emails and the social media comments and everything, and troubling. It's very troubling. One word kept going through my head is judgment. What kind of judgment makes a person do that? What kind of judgment makes somebody multiple times make a mockery out of another race of people? I can't understand it. Just speaking for myself, I think about that type of mockery that's gone on for so many centuries. I don't know what that feels like. And I'm sorry to say, 94% of our community doesn't know what that feels like. But 94% of our community has a job to make sure that the 6% never feels like that. Ever. And not only our community, but the world. And like Mr. Soto said about accountability, what message is that sending that it's okay to do that? What message is it sending other districts, other parents, other kids, the world in general, that it's okay to say, well, it was just a costume? Hypothetically, it's Halloween, it's a Tuesday, school is open, a child decides to dress up in that same manner. What happens to that child when he arrives at MHS or HHS? You think some action's going to be taken? Probably so. Everybody knows I'm a golfer. I played collegiately and professionally. What if I decide at the October board meeting to dress up like Tiger Woods? Best golfer that's ever lived. You think there'd be a public outcry for me to walk out that door? So the judgment of somebody that was a member at the time, still obviously, but a very active community member at the time, active with our education foundation, an active mom and everything, and having that type of judgment, I'm sorry, it blows my mind. So we say it's all about the kids. Every time you hear that from this dais, it's all about the kids. We then say it's all, we support our staff. We then say we're the voice of the community. Well, that means all kids, all staff, all community. Period. Not a select group. So making those type of sound judgments, that's very questionable. I said in my email yesterday, any offensive, demeaning, or inappropriate behaviors by any MISD Board of Trustee member, staff member, teacher, or student is unacceptable. It's not representative of this board, nor our district. And I know these events occurred prior to Mrs. Tobi being on the board, but I find it unacceptable. And our community does deserve action. They're expecting action from this governing body as we leave this room. Ms. Tobi's committed, and I appreciate her commitment to learning from this. And I know she's going to continue to learn and continue to be a member of our community. And she's going to do that whether she's on this board or not. I believe that. And we have been in closed session for a couple hours, and I appreciate your patience. We have some suggested steps moving forward. But as a course of action for me personally to address this particular issue, all I can do is ask for Mrs. Tobi's resignation and move forward on her own with her family and her business and her time, and let this board continue moving forward with the administration on other steps. Thank you. Do we have any motions from our session?
After a lengthy conversation that was raw, that was collective, collaborative, and intense, I think we all agreed that our actions must match our words, and I move to take immediate action to address the racial ignorance and appropriate steps to continue reflection and growth without excuses, to improve awareness and ownership needed for all members of the board and all MISD families. This immediate action includes, but is certainly not limited to, establishing a board diversity officer immediately, the entire board attending together impartial bias training, enhanced reporting to the board from each campus through the superintendent on racial matters specifically involving discipline, and encouraging multicultural clubs and offerings on each campus in MISD. We will continue discussions on this incredibly crucial conversation into the next weeks and months to begin to heal our district, our families, and our community.
Second.
All in favor of the proposed motion, raise your hand. All opposed?
Mr. President, I'm going to abstain from voting.
Yes, sir.
And I'll also add that we find ourselves in this position because of perhaps some short-sightedness. Again, acknowledging things that I've done in my past. But that's not why we're here today. Leaders lead. We lead by example. And I want this community to know that the actions taken today are seriously causing me to question me remaining on this board.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Any further discussion?
Mr. President, I would like to add one thing that for the public to know that we do have a diversity council in place, which involves parents, students, and staff of the district to set goals and move forward within MISD in a culturally proficient manner, and I hope that we can move forward with that.
I'd like to add that Multicultural Diversity Council is already in place and has engaged the community. And I think one very important topic to share is that we hear a lot of parents who are hurting, and we run to the problem. And I think that was, as leaders, stated over and over, that we run to the problem and do a better job opening the doors for conversation and improvement that is needed.
Thank you for those comments. There's a motion on the table to move forward. We have heard from everybody. While we cannot forcibly remove somebody, I think you've heard some stances on people's opinions. So there's a motion by Ms. Walton, a second by Mr. Vineyard. And I think it was 3 what? I apologize, since everything was going on at once. I apologize. We were talking about tabling the item. Give me a second. Motion's 5, 2 abstentions. community, once again, thank you for your patience in this. We do have a little bit of business to attend to. We're going to have to hear about proposals received for expansion of Heritage High School.